Today we are going to show you how to change a controller board on an Octominer X12 ULTRA, specifically this little board right here. So before we replaced the controller here, let's explain exactly what it does. First off, it's controlled by two USB cables, these black cables right here, which run right underneath to the motherboard. And that's how it communicates with the motherboard, the GPUs, and Hive OS. The controller also handles all the fans. And in this case, in the X12, we have 5 fans. And these are your 5 fan connectors. And you can see the wires for them going out to each and every single fan. Third thing it does is it gives you a front panel interface, namely your power, your reset, your CMOS button, plus your indicator LEDs and a USB 2.0 port for troubleshooting. Now there's also a bunch of things connected on the I2C bus of the controller. First one being is the power supply backplane connected through this 4-pin cable. This allows Hive OS and the Octominer itself to find out how much wattage and the temperatures of the power supplies themselves. Next one we can see right below it is this 4-pin right here, and that actually runs out to your OLED screen. And then this top cable right here runs to your front environmental sensor, which is right here. Now this is the one that gives you your intake temperature on Hive OS and gives you your relative humidity. And at the very bottom, there's actually two wire connections. One of them runs over and comes out right here. This is the voltage sense for your backplane breakout here. The other 2-pin, which you really can't see at the moment until we remove this board, starts here and actually ends right here. And if you look on the other side, that is actually your rear environmental sensor, and this just tells your output temperature on the back of the case. So on this controller board, we have a lot of different connections on here. The first thing we want to disconnect is our PCIe 6-pin power from it. Put that to the side. Then we have our 5 fan connectors. Let's just disconnect those. Lay them to the side. Next, we have our 2 USB connections that go over to the motherboard right here. We're going to disconnect these, depress the little clip right on each one, and just give them a gentle wiggle, and they will come out. Then we have the 4-pin connector that runs from the back of the PSU backplane to the controller. Just gently wiggle that out. Next, we have the plug for the front environmental sensors. Let's unplug that. Below the environmental sensors, we have the 4-pin power connector and data cable for the front OLED screen. Let's unplug that. So we do still have 2 more wires on 2 connectors left over that we can't get to right now. One goes to the rear environmental sensor. The other one goes to the expansion backplane. Let's get the 2 Phillips head screws out. One up here, one below at the very bottom first, and get this controller board loose. And actually, there is a 3rd screw tucked down underneath on the top here. Now we can pull the controller board away, and you can see those last 2 connectors that we need to remove. Now, as you can tell, one of the 4-pin holders came off when I disconnected it. And you can see it on the end here. Not to worry, just pop it off. And it comes off nicely. You can either reinstall this on the defective controller, or you're ready to go ahead and install the next one. So to install your replacement controller, first thing, connect your two 2-pin connectors. They are sized differently, so you cannot mix them up. Now if you want, you can continue connecting stuff while it's loose if it's easier for you. Now, for these 4 connectors here that we had earlier, you'll see this bottom one is bigger. This one says I2C or I2C OLED. That's where the OLED plugs in. The other 3 are just I2C. You can plug them in any which way you really want to because they're all the same. It doesn't matter which one. And since the rest of the wires are very short, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this and screw it down first before we connect everything else. Once the 3 screws are reinstalled, let's go ahead and first plug in the bigger I2C connector for your OLED screen. Then we'll plug in the front environmental sensor. And we'll plug in the I2C connector that goes from the PSU backplane back into the controller. Finally, we will connect the 5 fans. So that's how you replace the controller board on an Octominer X12 ULTRA. After replacing this, it is recommended to go into either Hive OS or the command line option and get a full report of voltages, fan controllers, do a fan calibration test, and make sure the controller is functioning properly.